A boy who had to grow up in a harsh world without his parents became a thief in order to survive, which also led him to discover another young boy just like him, which he then brought along to join him and two other girls, Muse and Anne, who were just like him, abandoned with nowhere to go or call home. He taught him his way of survival, and that boy later became known as Ash. Now, after gaining a group of 4, they continued their life of stealing in order to stay alive. Their love for each other grew day by day, and they treated each other like family. As such, they made a promise that they would stop stealing once they had enough money to go to the city and live a good life. Both X and Ash considered each other as family and rivals. They were always competing with each other, and from the first day X and Ash met, X was always curious about the secret behind Ash's right hand, as he could make slimes come out of his hand which can be used to fully heal anyone, but takes a portion of his vitality in return. After going on their last mission, they went home and told everyone that they have gathered enough money and that they will leave at night. But they had no clue that a big, shiny jewel that they stole would be a dungeon stone, and ending up causing them huge problems in the future. While getting ready for their journey, they noticed that one of their traps got triggered, as that would signal an intruder had entered the forest, which alerted them, as it means that someone was after them. After X had realized that the person who was after them was a knight that he had stolen the blue gem from, they decided to quickly pack their things and escape the forest. But their only way of escape was to go through a poisonous path, which was not only confusing, but was also the den of wolves. And with X and Ash being the only capable fighters of the group, they had to proceed with caution, as they were responsible for protecting Anne and Muse. With a sudden slash by Ash to protect Anne from a poisonous vine, the bag with the gold coin had fell, scattering the coins everywhere. And soon after, they found themselves surrounded by wolves, which left them no other choice but to fight. In the end, they defeated the wolves and was happy that they had survived. But out of nowhere, the boss monster had showed up and severely injured X, which left Ash no choice but to use the slimes from his hand to heal X. After coming back with his health fully restored, the system had revealed itself to him, and thus he gained a new and powerful skill he had never seen before, which gave him the ability to steal one of the monster's skills. And after a long and drawn-out fight, X made it out alive with everyone and a new kind of power as well. But right when they thought they could take it easy, the boss monster of the forest had shown up, which crushed their hopes of escaping. But right when they were about to give up, the knight that had been chasing them showed up to their rescue. And to everyone's surprise, all it took was a single slash from his sword to completely annihilate all the monsters that was in the way. After what they had seen, they had no choice but to go along with the knight, and they later discovered that it wasn't just any knight that was after them, but the blue knight captain, which they had stolen from. X had finally woken up after being exhausted from the events that had took place. He found himself in an unfamiliar place and with the knight that was chasing after them in front of him. While showing more concern about where his family was, the knight captain offered X the opportunity to become a knight. But with his mind completely occupied about what had happened to his family, he didn't give a response. But right in that moment, the Blue Knight Vice Captain entered the room and assured X that everyone who was with him was okay, which caused him to be more relaxed. But Ash, who was in the room as well, and was the smart of the two, was very suspicious of the sudden offer by the knight, which was exclusive to nobles. But even after the knight gave him a satisfactory answer, Ash was not convinced. But after being told that he could get information about his past, he had no reason to refuse the offer, and so they both decided to become knights. While having breakfast with everyone, the sky suddenly split open and a legendary monster had appeared, which was the second high-ranking demon that served the Demon King, who had fought the Blue Knight Captain before. He was after the dungeon stone, which could cause a massive dungeon break. With the Knight Captain giving everyone their orders, he quickly engaged in battle with the demon to give everyone enough time to evacuate. With more monsters appearing, X and Ash was given an ego sword, which taught them how to use their abilities as a knight and help with the evacuation. After all the citizens had been evacuated, The Blue Knight Captain, after limiting himself as to not hurt the citizens, decided to take things seriously and released his Night Stone. And after using his final move that would hopefully end the battle, the 7th high-ranking demon that also served the Demon King showed up and rescued the 2nd. After saying that they have business to attend to and looking at X and Ash one last time, they disappeared into the sky again from where they had appeared. After being thanked by the citizens for protecting them, everyone went back to their normal lives as if nothing had happened. The next day, X and Ash was excited as they said their farewells and departed on a wyvern to begin their training as a knight apprentice. After arriving at their destination, a golem was waiting for them as their guide, but was also an examiner. Enchanted with the Eye of Truth, X and Ash must answer the golem as to why they wish to become a knight in order to move on to the testing area, where they will take their first steps towards becoming a true knight. On their way to the testing area, they hunted monsters and gained experience, but with a sudden surprise by an arrow that was shot at them, a noble and prideful elf was revealed hidden in a tree. X, being his first time seeing an elf, was surprised and admired her beauty, but was mistaken as treating the elf as an exotic animal and was met with an attack, but was saved by another knight candidate, which was following them while keeping his presence hidden. After introducing himself, he challenged them to a duel, as he was intrigued by the candidates that was recommended by the Blue Knight Captain, but also to test his own strength and increase his fighting capabilities. Back in the town, the Blue Knight Captain was worried about X and Ash, but in that moment, the Green Knight Squad Captain showed up out of thin air and spoke to Ryu, the Blue Captain, about X and Ash, and that one of his candidates ran off to fight them. He further explained that his candidate wasn't a noble but a royal from the Charon Kingdom and was called the Hero of 100 Weapons. Back at the fight between Ash and the royal, Ash was being completely outsmarted and outpowered, so much so that it only took the royal a few moves to plant his head in the ground, defeating him, leaving only X. After their first clash, X, being a thief class, stole the royal's belt, and when the royal was about to finish the fight, his pants fell off, putting him in an embarrassing position, giving X the chance he needed. And X, having zero honor whatsoever, wasted no time and finished the fight with a punch. But it wasn't over yet, because after going for another attack, the royal was forced to use his power. An arm suddenly grew from his back, which surprised X. After grabbing X and attempting to bury him in the ground like he did to Ash, he was surprised that X had suddenly disappeared. But that didn't last for long, as two arms appeared from underground and grabbed him by his leg, pulling him underneath. And X, emerging from the ground, used the skill he had stolen from a monster to land a hit on the royal, which caused him to regret thinking that X was a pushover, and finally decided to fight him seriously. But their fight was quickly interrupted by a sudden shake of the ground, which was caused by a mountain that turned out to be the golem from before. This time, the golem had appeared to tell them that they should have a serious fight later, after arriving at Ragna, which was the testing ground for the candidates, by entering the portal that was at the top of the mountain. And so they followed what the guide told them and headed towards the top of the mountain to enter the place where they will each be judged. And that brings us to the end of the first part of this manhwa. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.